Good morning and happy Tuesday. So remember, today's a quick reminder. Remember our ultimate success formula. Know your outcome, and remember we got to be very specific about our outcomes. It can't be just something general like I want to be richer, I want to have less weight, blah, blah, blah. Number one, know your outcome. Number two, take massive action, immediate, massive action. Never leave the sight of a goal without taking some sort of action. Number three, have sensory acuity. Know whether or not you're getting closer to your result or getting further away. And then number four, change your approach. What's the difference between successful people and non-successful people? It's not that they don't make mistakes. In fact, successful people make way more mistakes and mess up way more than non-successful people because they try, because they take action and they put out effort, and so they mess up all the time. Here's the difference. They don't look at it as failure. They look at it as learning. But the other thing is they don't do it again. Remember that last step. Change your approach. If what you're doing isn't working, you need to do something different. And a lot of people get stuck in this step. And instead of doing something different, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, hoping for a different result. And you can tell because, you'll ask them, how come you haven't been able to get this result? Tell me what your experience has been. And they'll say something like, I've tried everything. Well, if you tried everything, you'd figure it out. Thomas Edison proved that. So what is it that they feel like they've tried everything? Well, because they keep trying the same thing. And when you ask them, you go, well, tell me all the things that you've tried. And they'll say, well, there's been thousands. Okay, well, name 100. Well, there's been, dozens. Fine. Name 5. And then when they really stop and think about it, they realize that they've done the same 2 things or 1 thing over and over and over again. Successful people don't do the same thing again. They go in a different direction, and they speed up their process by finding somebody who's been successful at what they want to do and doing what they do. That's how they make sure they don't make mistakes, is they learn from somebody else. And they figure that out later in life, by the way. Most of the time, they make all kinds of mistakes and then figure out, and they call those mentors. But it doesn't have to be a mentor. It can be a book. It can be a seminar. It can be whatever. But they don't do the same thing if it's not working. And the opposite of that is true also. When they find something that works, they do it like crazy. They're great at stopping everything else and saying, we're just going to do this, especially in business. When they find something that operates right, they go and they just pile on to it, and they do it like crazy so that they exasperate their success. So as you're going down the road, trying to figure out how it is you're going to accomplish the task that you want to accomplish, whether it's finances like we've been talking about, or whether or not it's getting in shape, or your relationship, or your relationship with your kids, whatever it is, remember that if you're doing something that hasn't worked, you got to do something different. What a lot of people get stuck is they do the same thing, but they do it more and harder, thinking it's going to be different, but it's not. If it hasn't worked in the past, it's probably not going to work in the future. And when you do it more and harder, it's just going to not work that much more and that much harder. As a lawyer, I saw that in business, where all of a sudden the world would change and somebody's business now all of a sudden wouldn't work. You'd have this great business and all of a sudden, bang, the business is gone. COVID showed a lot of people that. All of a sudden your business is shut down. So what do? Well, the ones that don't adapt do the same thing more and harder. So there's a story in Arizona of 2 taco places, and they both were very successful. They were a little bit different in terms of how they served their food. So they both had a ton of success, and COVID hit. And one business was owned by an older business owner who had run it for a long time, and one was a younger business. The older business owner kept trying to do the same thing and was upset and was mad at the government and was mad at everybody else because he was shut down and didn't know how to respond. And as a result, didn't respond. The young business owners immediately pivoted, started building an outdoor facility, started figuring out how to do home delivery, started working on an app, They got that idea from Domino's, so they went to those same developers. Because those developers had done it for Domino's, they were able to get it done cheaply. And before you knew it, they were the number one delivery taco place around. They were one of the number one delivery places around. They had this great outdoor facility, which now that the state has opened up, they can continue to use. The city let them keep the facility, so they effectively doubled the size of their business. So one business is now out of business, and the other business is now twice as strong. Try something different. They pivoted. The younger kids pivoted, the older guy didn't, and the older guy ended up going out of business, had a great thriving business, gone. Lost all of his people, lost all of his stuff, and now his business is gone. It's not the outside forces that decide whether or not you're going to be successful. You know, that other taco stand looks at the government now for shutting things down and saying that was the greatest thing that happened to us. We doubled our business as a result of that thing happening and expanded like crazy. It's not your circumstances that decide your result or decide whether or not you're going to be successful. It's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. You can always take the circumstances that you're dealing with and turn them into a positive if you think about it in that fashion. And that's looking for a different result, looking for a different outcome. How is it that I can change my approach so that I can reach this outcome that I'm going to want? So remember the last step, change your approach. Don't do the same thing over and over and over again expecting a different result. If it's not working, you got to do something different. And the easiest way to figure that out is to model. Find somebody who's done what you want to do and do what they do. Sow the same seeds, you'll get the same result. But again, if you do it and for yourself and it doesn't work, then you got to change the approach. Even if it did work for them and it doesn't work for you, then it's time to do something different. Don't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.